There's a story that Rabbi Rashab, there were stories, and they were very ill for a time, at a time, and then they got healthy again. So in those times also, someone that learns Chassidus will appreciate that obviously it's not that he was ill begashmi. So Baruchni, something was going on over here, and that resulted in him becoming ill, and when he became healthy, he was obviously Lamaila as well. However, on our own, we're not going to come and say, oh, I know that Rebbe got healthy on this day, so now it should become a whole Yom Tov now. We're not the ones that can know what's going on behind the scenes. We have a mun absurda that by a tzaddik, if something happens to him, obviously behind the scenes something is happening as well. But it's we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We know there is something going on. We don't know exactly what's going on. Rabbi Seder Nesienu, the Rebbeim, they do know what's going on. So besides the fact that we all know something special is happening, they know exactly what's going on. So by Yutas Kislev, Rabbi Seder Nesienu told us that what happened at that time was that there was a tremendous Gili L'mayla, and the Baal Shem Tov and the Magi told the Baal Shem Tov, told Alter Rebbe, from now on you should teach more Chassidus. So they're the ones that they revealed to us what happened now, and this time when he got arrested, this time what happened was that L'mayla was such a kitrug, and L'mayla they decided for us that they should have it should be a Rosh Hashanah Chassidus, it should be a big Yom. The second time that he was arrested, even though it says that it was very bad, and as far as this world is concerned, what happened between the government, the Mesidah, whatever it was. But if Rabbi Seder Nesienu are not telling us what's going on behind the scenes, that at that time there was a special kitrug, his Mepashas, there was a bigger kitrug down here, it was probably a bigger kitrug up there as well. But if Rabbi Seder Nesienu don't spell out to us what exactly was going on, we can on our own decide to make now a whole Yom Tov out of it. I mean, a regular Yom Tov, Yom Tov, even though the Derech Klal in the second day of Hanukkah, nothing is really done for it because as most people are busy with Mitzvah. But again, the ikar is that we can't on our own just see what happened with the Rebbe and decide, okay, this is a special day. The Frierdiker Rebbe was arrested numerous times. The Tzemach Tzedek was also arrested. And Afal Bechem, we don't make a big Yom Tov out of all of those arrests. Why is that? Because Rabbi Seder Nesienu didn't make a big deal about it. So even though we must believe that at that time something special happened, but again, if we're not told exactly what it is, we can't make it into a Yom Tov. It says in Shulchan Aruch that bread in the morning is a very important thing, and it denies, it stops machlis. If so, why is there barely any bread in this yeshiva? We live in Postville, and with all the milas of Postville, at the end of the day, there's no Jewish bakery in town, and therefore, in order to have bread, to have a freshly baked bread, or even old bread, it's not an easy thing. It's very hard to arrange. Same amongst the kosher stores, same amongst to get it from Chicago or the other nearby kosher places. And therefore, I know the yeshiva works on it as much as possible, but practically it just doesn't always work. The nice of Lezeh, when it says bread with pashas, it doesn't only mean bread, it means any of the 5 grains. So that we have cereal. Cereal is one of the 5 grains. It's very possible, I can't say this for sure, but it's very possible that the main health benefits that you get from the pas, you can also get from cereal, which has part of the 5 grains, especially we have a lot of times oatmeal and things like that, which L'chayra also would be in the same, again, I can't say for sure in the same category, but the same concept that it is gives you the health benefits. This question was asked before. I'm not sure the Bacher asked it the second time because he didn't like my first answer, or because it was written both times at the same, and I just didn't get to it till now. But I'll say it again. The Bacher is asking, what should I do if I'm a Mishkav Zacharnik? You have to live your whole life alone, but what else can be done? So again, I wanted to say what I said last time is, sometimes Bachrim in Yeshiva, it's a very common thing that Bachrim think that they're Mishkav Zacharniks. Bachrim have thoughts in their mind, and they think that there's a problem. They don't share with anybody else because they're very embarrassed about it, and they think that because I have this kind of feeling towards this kind of Bachar, that something's wrong with me. So you should know that that does not mean a Mishkav Zacharnik, and many Bachrim feel that way, and there's many reasons for it, but it doesn't define who you are. And that's why it's very important to have a mashpia, to confide in him. You talk to your mashpia, he'll be able to put you on the right path and explain to you what's going on. So that's number one, just to clarify. I would say 98% of Bachrim that feel this way, it's not true. It's nothing at all. There is definitely a percent that there is an issue, that's in the world Bechlal, but 98% of the people, it's not an issue at all. You think it's an issue, but it's Bechlal not. What happens is you're in yeshiva and you're amongst Bachrim the whole time, and if you're a healthy young man, so your body works in a certain kind of way, and since you're only amongst Bachrim, you end up having certain kind of feelings. But it does not mean that you're Mishkav Zacharnik, and most of the time, like I said, 98% of the time, even if you think you have those kind of feelings, it's not a concern. When you get older, you'll realize that it's not an issue. But in order to calm yourself down, the best thing is to talk to a mashpia, an older person that can guide you and explain to you what's going on in your body and explain to you what you're feeling. And it's not really a topic for a public forum, but I'm just saying it now because, like I said, it might have been a second time the question's coming. So it's very, very normal. I want to say this again. It's very, very normal amongst Bachrim, not every Bachar obviously, but many, many, many Bachrim have this thought in their mind that they're not sure, is something wrong with me, am I healthy, v'chulul, and I'm letting you know that 98% of the time, if not more, it's not a problem. Now, what happens if it is a problem? A person can decide, I went to a mashpia, and the mashpia discussed with me, and after all the conversations, I still feel that I have a real problem over here. And I have a person that he's only a mishkav zachar, if that's the way Hashem created him, the way he seems to be, what should he do? So such a person, there is therapy for such things. I spoke once to a therapist, a psychologist. I asked him about it. He told me there are two general methods of therapy. Today, the therapists are very afraid to do the therapy because the world is so corrupted and goes so backwards. So when people start doing therapy, what do you mean? What are you curing that person? He's healthy. You're the one that's crazy. He's normal. The world is so backwards today. But there is, if you get from a yidden, you can get from a therapist that will be able to help come out to take care of the problem. But when it gets to that point, there's a lot more what to talk about the different levels and different inyanim, what it should be done. If a person after all that, a person mamish feels that he can't get married at all, then sometimes that's the only solution. I mean, I don't know if a Rav will ever say such a thing, but there is the pastors. If a person feels that he's a danger to somebody else and he can't get married, a person is mentally ill. If a person's mentally ill, could he get married? I mean, it's a lot more complicated for a person that has a real mental condition that's for him to get married. So even such people, something could be figured out. Obviously, this is a different kind of shaila, but with a Rav and with a proper therapist, with the proper guidance, it's very possible for him to be able to go to Mr. Hashem, get married and have a normal kind of life with Hashem's help. There are a few stories that I heard from the Rebbe, not too many. Most people don't want to talk about such things, but people that ask the Rebbe for advice, I don't really know too many stories. If anybody knows stories out of it, I would like to hear. I asked a number of people, I didn't really get. I asked once a mashpia in the yeshiva if he had any, he was a mashpia for many years. So he told me that he once wrote to the Rebbe about it, because there was a bach in yeshiva that was asking him, and the Rebbe didn't answer him. So that's what that mashpia told me. If anybody knows of any other stories out of Rebbe, you can share with me. It says when you leave a sefer open, you forget what you learned. So if you leave your siddur open, will you forget how to daven? Pashas, the answer is no. This how when you leave your sefer open, you forget what you learned. It's more a davar segula. It's not like a big sense. There's no explanation for ma kesher. If the information's in my mind, who cares if the book is open or not? So the Pasha says it's a davar segula, which says because you're mevazah the sefer, so that's why it's a special kind of midah. You're mevazah the Torah that you learned, so the Torah doesn't want to stay with you. But it's not like a natural thing. So B'meila, if it says it's only b'negiyah learning, it doesn't say it about davening. So the pastors, even though you could say that to be joined to the siddur, but if it doesn't say that anywhere, then you can't come on your own and make up such a pshat and say that the same thing applies over here.